afternoon if you're there, and most of us, it's good evening. I'd like to welcome you to Monday Night in America tonight. We have a special guest tonight with us, Charles Andrew Payne. His latest movie is Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist. It was released in limited fashion, I think, a few weeks ago, but he can tell us more about that when we get on. So, Roger, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing real well, Michael, and I apologize. I didn't hit the intro music quick enough, so we're all good. Really jazzed, really excited. I have a break from tax season right now, and I'm able to get away and get into the good stuff, and I'm really looking forward to it. How's okay? Is it cold out there on the East Coast? I'm not gonna let it go. I'm gonna be dumb. How is it out there, Michael? Because over here it's rainy, and it's about 46. This is embarrassing, folks, because we talked about the weather, and I'm not going to let it go now. Because I realize whenever I complain about the weather, I just look around me, and my guests here, they have it worse off than I do, so I can't bring it up. So maybe I'm being a jerk by asking. Did you get snow, Michael?
Not really, no.
Oh, you didn't? Well, I got a lot of rain.
I'm having rain right now. So.
Oh, okay. Well, so yeah. It's raining. But I found out prior to going live that I have no right to complain about my lot in life right now. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and bring him on right now. Charles Andrew Payne, and we're going to go over quite a bit of the stuff. But Charles, seriously, thank you for taking the time for joining us. You are an hour ahead of us. You are up in the Great White North. And Charles, tell us, how are you doing this evening, young man?
I'm doing very well. Thank you guys for inviting me. Thanks for having me. And Roger, we don't talk about the weather, my friend, because I win.
Oh, right. Yes. Yes. You win now and you won then. There's no doubt about that. Yes. I actually might have the best weather right now. So again, I shouldn't talk about it. It's just, I had the nerve to just go there. So you're -10 right now, right?
That's -10 right now. We were as cold as -40 last week. We had snow last week. We have snow in the forecast for tomorrow. And the general rule is, you know what? The weather is going to be whatever it's going to be, and you just go do what you got to do.
Yep. Yeah. So. Oh, yeah, I get that. So Michael actually gave us a bit of a tease on it. We're really here to discuss primarily a movie that you were in right now, debuted. Well, actually, you're going to be able to detail more on it for us. But the movie did run here in the Americas. I believe it was in January. It was a limited run. But Michael went to go see the movie. I went to buy the tickets because it actually, and Charles will correct me if I'm wrong, but it was supposed to run on a weekend. But in Southern California, it ran for a little bit more than the weekend. But as I tried to buy the tickets, Michael said, buy them now. And, of course, Roger didn't start looking until Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I know it played Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think up to Thursday. And they were sold out. Absolutely sold out. Yeah, in Southern California.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a limited run in, I believe it was 1,500 theaters. Then they expanded into Canada as well, and I found out it was, I was very happy because my wife rallied up the troops, and we had a view-in party at a theater, and there was a good 15 or 20 people that showed up from my little posse and group. So thank my wife for that. And then it was doing well, so they extended it. Yeah, and it continued the run in the theaters, which was a little bit confusing for some people, I believe. But people were managing to find it and attend. What was interesting for me is how well received it was. If you looked at Rotten Tomatoes, had a very high 90s customer viewership response. Not critics' response, because I didn't see a lot of those, but the people. I like to say this: the people that it was intended for went and saw it and loved it. So, thank you to everyone who went and saw it, and hopefully, and it also, for a period there, it was like number 7 in the box office. So it
Wow.
Yeah.
1,500 theaters?
1,500 theaters, and it did very well financially in terms of making back its budget, etc. So the movie was profitable. And now I believe I may have the date wrong, but I know sometime in March, because I'd seen promos for it where you could pre-order your DVDs because it's coming out on DVD in March.
Wow. So are you possibly expecting another run in the theaters for this movie, or no, it's going to DVD already?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But would be here's the thing. I'm an actor, so I invested my time and energy in making this film. I want as many people to see it as possible. So yeah, play it in the theaters, put it on streaming. It's coming out on DVD, but they don't always tell me what's going on with that. So
of course, I have to tell you, I was genuinely shocked and disappointed because I'm usually able to get seats. And Michael did tell me, dude, I already have my ticket. So hope you're going. I said, all right. When I first checked, there was opportunity, but I ran out of time. I just ran out, and I'm really disappointed. Michael did see the movie, and I can quote him, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but Michael said, I was surprised. I was surprised.
Wasn't what I expected. So.
Right. Wasn't what he expected. So I think I'm going to see if I can cheat a little bit. Maybe we'll get away with playing the teaser in a moment. I'm going to try to set that up. So for everyone who's watching live, you're going to be able to listen to it. We're probably going to get a strike against us. So it may be blocked out for the minute or two that it's on, but everything else will be fine. It is what it is, and rightfully so. But I'm going to see if I can get that teaser right now. And
fantastic.
I know we can play it. We can talk about it real quick. So I need about a minute. Michael, if you would. And Charles, maybe you could start give us some ideas of the movie so I can get the video to go.
While you're doing that, okay. So the movie Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist. Of course, it's based on the Left Behind series of books that came out a number of years back. I think sold 70+ million copies. There was previous movie attempts with this. There was the Kirk Cameron one, and there was set couple, and then there was the one with Nicolas Cage. When this one picks up about 6 months after the Nicolas Cage one, kind of a retelling. It's very modern, a lot of modern references in it as well. And if you did get to go see the movie in the theater, you would have noticed the movie opens with my voice and ends with my voice because I also narrate the movie. Which was a fun thing to do.
So you're the first one you hear, and
yes,
pretty much the last one.
Yeah. As I said, from the opening frame to the end frame, you either hear my voice or see my face.
And I believe I should have it ready to go. Here we go, folks. Bear with me just one quick moment. I'm going to activate it, and this time I have the audio system on.
Good.
So
good. That's important.
Yes, it's important. Folks, we ask you to bear with us, but here it is. And here's the official trailer.
If someone had told me that millions of people were just going to disappear, I, like you, would have said they were crazy.
Was it the rapture?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Are you sure? I mean, are you really sure?
I saw it happen.
Those weren't vanishings.
It wasn't the rapture. The rapture was debunked on the first day.
The second wave of vanishings has thrown the financial markets back into chaos.
Trust me. You want to make sure you're on the right team. You're already teaching them the art of fake news?
I just wish I could see you one more time. Why are you still here?
Because I asked God to leave me behind.
We don't need to look for magic. We're not a bunch of religious wackos.
Wackos like my mom.
Fortunately, we have a solution. We can implement Eat and Pay worldwide in a matter of weeks. Welcome to the future.
I got to look inside the Eat and Pay platform, and it's a whole lot more than a glorified bank card.
So you're just admitting to being crazy.
Yes, I'm quite comfortable with that.
When it is all over, half the world will be dead.
This is the biggest news story since the vanishings.
You listen to me. You drag this line of nonsense into the public eye. We're both finished.
Now I'm more like an actor.
The Antichrist will declare himself as God.
Seemed like a stretch even for them.
So how do we know who we can trust?
Trust God.
The world is suffering. We are on the brink of mass insanity.
What happens to the rest of us?
Doesn't it seem strange that it's still so easy to dismiss it, even though we saw it with our own eyes?
It was through Fathom Events, folks. That is the teaser. And I ask you to bear with me while I get rid of the video that's playing in the background. I do apologize. It's gone. So, folks, that's really good. It's a cool teaser. Okay, Charles, is that a teaser or is that a preview?
That's a trailer. That's just a trailer. That's the promotional trailer, yes.
Okay, that's a promotional trailer. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if you noticed, but the feel when Michael first told me about this, about watching the movie, and I'm watching the promotional trailer, it has a feel, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, it has a feel of movies that were done in the old Hollywood of the 50s and 60s and 70s, when you recognize a lot of the faces. What I mean, the thespians. It's a lot of people that we've seen before. Charles, obviously you have a significant role in this movie, and Michael will jump in a moment, but you got a chance to work with a lot of people on this one, didn't you?
Yes and no.
Right.
A lot of interesting people on there. The people I was disappointed that I didn't get a chance to actually be on set with Corbin Burnson, who I grew up watching on like LA Law and what have you. Neil McDonough, who I'm a big fan of because I'm a total sci-fi guy, and he was on the DC shows, right? And
You said the wrong words.
No, let it go. Charles, please continue.
What was the wrong words?
You'll find out. Keep going.
Okay. No, I would have loved to have been on set with Neil, but it just the scheduling didn't work out that way. But everybody else I had a chance to be on set with, and I've worked with Kevin. I don't know how many, this is like my third iteration with Kevin, and second time with his wife Sam and his son. So yeah, I mean, just a good time was had. So. Now, what's the wrong words?
Actually, it may not be the wrong word, but we also, in our love of science fiction, and I'm sure you know this, you just didn't mention it, he had a significant role in the Star Trek movie First Contact.
Yes.
And yeah, so I know you know that, but Michael was figuring that I was going to jump all over you for that. I'm like, no. We do know him for that as well. Mm-hmm. But Neil McDonough he's been in quite a bit of stuff.
He does an excellent job all the time, right? Yeah. And I've been following him for a while. Was very excited when I heard he was going to be taking part in the film. There was big fanfare and media about it, and I'm like, I'm going to be in a movie with Neil McDonough. That's fantastic. But we have no scenes together.
Oh, yeah, I get you. Yes.
Now, were you still a lot under COVID restrictions during filming, or was it before?
No, there was COVID restrictions and wearing masks on set and only taking your mask off and testing, weekly, etc. So yeah, but it's funny because COVID, you just kind of got used to it. It was just became, This is what we do so we can work, right? Fortunately, I never got it. It passed through my house, but I didn't get it. Yep. So yeah, both my boys had it, my wife had it, but not me. So, wow. But I think it's probably because of all the testing and all the precautions. Because you get COVID, you can't work,
no,
and you can't be on a set, and you book a part, and then you have to go get tested before you can even show up to work. And if you test positive, well, guess what? They're going to go with the next in line. So I was hyper vigilant and hyper careful, right? So yeah, it's my livelihood.
Yes. I bet it's I knocked on my desk as well, Charles, because over the last few years, my daughters and my wife, they tested positive as well. And I work for a municipal government down here in LA, so LA County, big deal. Yep. I work for LA County, and everyone around me tested positive. I think Charles, I was doing the Matrix.
You and me both.
Yeah, it seems like it.
I'm a bit of a germaphobe. I'll freely admit that to begin with. I don't like to touch surfaces and stuff. And I'm the guy who does the sleeve up and the elbow. I was doing all that before, and I'm a bit of an introvert. So, as my wife said, they said lock down and stay home and don't socialize. And I went, nothing's changing here.
Wow. It's funny how some people have germaphobe as a negative. Hey, we had to become vigilant, and many of us did dodge bullets because we were vigilant, and it worked out. I learned. I'm not a germaphobe, but let me tell you, I don't mean that in any derisive way. I just mean I never was thinking that, but I'm that way now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. I'm going to be real dumb and say, "Look, I have it in my pocket."
I know. I have it in my car. It was there before COVID. Because I shake hands with people all the time because of the line of work I'm in. So I get back to my car, the hand sanitizer comes out.
Yeah. So just I mean, without beating the dead horse on the COVID stuff, how is it now? I guess you did mention it's. I guess something akin to the new normal, but is it tougher because our impression is that Canada had closed the door to us, which they did, and I thought that the restrictions were kind of still in place. And that's just my ignorance right now because it's tax season.
No. And to my best knowledge, restrictions are not in place. Have you heard COVID's over?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe in May, this president's says it's done, it's over. So
COVID's over. People are, it's nice to be able to go back out and socialize. It's nice to be able to shake hands with people. It's nice to be able to hug people. It's good to be able to go to a movie theater and sit in a group of people, right? Again.
Yes.
So those are all positives. In terms of work situations, I think the studios are still being a little vigilant, but probably for good reason. I haven't heard differently. So, right, everything I see, the breakdowns still say COVID protocols are in place and blah blah blah. But I think it's a little looser in some areas, right? So it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is. I think we've been out of it out here in Southern California for a while, and I think Michael in DC as well.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I know I missed out my opportunity to see this. Michael was telling me over and over, and I am looking forward to purchasing it. I know that I will watch it. Like I said, Michael said he was unexpectedly surprised, and it was a good thing. So what was some of your experiences? Or let's back up a little bit. Michael mentioned that it was during COVID. When did the filming and the production of this movie take place?
Oh, people always ask me that, and I go, you know what? Got a good memory, just short, but it was in 2021, I believe, in the fall, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I do remember that we had snow on the ground in a couple of shots, but that was a long time. But that's the weird thing about film, right? You do it, and then you've moved on to the next project and the next project, and they're doing their thing in the background. They're editing and doing the marketing, and then it's a big release, and then you have to go, I have to remember all of that now in case somebody asks me, right? So
where was most of the filming done?
In Calgary.
Everything
was filmed up here in Calgary. So
it's interesting because you did it at the end of the year, and I get the impression like maybe October, November.
Yep.
And that's 2021. Then you had all of 2022. So you could, in the back of your mind, okay, it's 2 years. And then January 2023, you almost could say it's 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you
know what? I am happy that it actually got released in the theaters and all of that, because I did previous work during COVID that still hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Oh right. Yeah. That's the industry, right?
I ran across one because I assumed they had filmed during COVID because it came out 5 months ago. And he goes, "Oh no, we totally filmed that way before COVID." And I go, "Oh, okay, so you had a long post-production time."
Yes.
But I'm sure that COVID had a lot to do with it because they couldn't get together.
Yeah,
So,
or it was supposed to come out in theaters and then theaters shut down.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So now it's like, okay, are they going to release this in the theaters? Are they just going to release it film festivals,
streaming
or what have you? Because everything went straight to streaming, and
it did.
Yeah.
It did. And the movies that they held up were big possible box office. They said we're not releasing it now until the theaters are open.
Until the theaters are open.
And I totally get that. So.
Yeah.
Wow. You mentioned Rotten Tomatoes. I just went over there right now. It is holding with over 500 verified ratings of 97%.
Yeah.
That is cool, man.
Well, like I said, let's just, I want people to just go to see the film because it's a good story, but let's be, I'm also a realist and I'm practical. The movie was specifically has a targeted audience.
Yes.
Right? And the targeted audience made their way to see it, reviewed it, and said, we like this. So thank them very much. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you mentioned it earned its money back. So that both figuratively and literally, that's a score.
That's a score. And
Heck
I heard
yeah.
I haven't been verified, but I saw Kevin was doing an interview on Huckabee or Fox or something. Someone sent me the link to it. The only piece I remember is somebody said, is there a sequel? And he says, oh, it's being written right now. We're going to start filming it later this year. And I went, all righty. From your lips to God.
So maybe you have a job again.
Well, no, actually, I've been told that if they do the next one, because my character is very integral and central to the storyline, he yes. So and when I was in the studio narrating it, I said to them, because we were doing it remote, I was in the studio, they dialed in, and as I was reading it through, and I said, guys, as I read this narration, it seems to me like you're setting up for a sequel. And the producer piped in, he goes, Charles, it's it's already in the works, and yes, you're in it. And I'm like, okay, check that box. You ever heard the old joke, right? How do you tell if it's a good script? Does your character die? No, that's a good script. There's a chance you might come back.
Yep. All right.
So no, my character doesn't die.
That is cool. And you are in the promotional video.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm in the promotional trailer. I was very, very thrilled and happy to see that my not so attractive bug made it onto the poster. And then for a lot of the promotional advertising that they did, I kept screen grabbing all of them, going, oh, they use my mug again, and look, there's another one with me, and there's another one with me. I'm like, to sum it up best, my 15-year-old said to me two things. He said, so you're kind of a big deal now. Okay. I said, okay. He's 15. He's one of the cool kids. So he thinks I'm a big deal. That counts for something. And then he went online. He started reading up about the background of the books and the people or what. And he goes, I don't think you really fully understand what you've gotten yourself into here, Dad.
Oh, wow.
I said, I probably don't. So we'll see.
But that's okay. It wouldn't have to be carried away for a little bit.
Hey, as I jokingly say, everybody gets 15 minutes. I think I'm about 3 minutes into my 15. So.
Well, that's good. Then there's some time left. Yes.
I hope.
Heck yeah. Look, if you head over to Rotten Tomatoes, right to the audience, these are really cool reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth will set you free if you choose to believe. That's related to the movie. Amazingly genuine movie, not fake acting. It was a very good idea. I read the book, and the movie was right on with the storyline of the book. And each one, I've already read 4 reviews. Another one, it was according to the scriptures. Okay, what?
Yeah.
Okay, Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure what that one is. But enjoyed the movie, subject matter, acting, and production. And there's really good stuff. A fantastic movie. And I want all of my family and friends to see it. I wonder. No, just kidding. I wonder who wrote that one.
No.
No.
I don't do stuff like that.
No,
here's the thing. What's interesting is, okay, My father-in-law is very much a Christian, and he came to the movie too. And at the end of the movie, he says that was the best message in a Christian film that I've seen in a long time. Oh, okay, because that's the intended audience. So,
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, on this movie, I guess for the members who have not seen it yet, what's movie info? After millions of people vanish and the world falls into chaos, the only light is a charismatic leader who rises to become head of the UN. But does he bring hope for a better future, or is it the end of the world? Yes. Does that catch it?
Yep, that pretty much catches it. Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing for me, like people always ask, I've been asked by a lot of different interviewers, what was it about the film, right, that drew me? It's about the human connection for me. It's about, my character, Pastor Barnes. He's a pastor, and the rapture has happened. You would think a man of God would have been first up, right? But he's left behind. And how does he deal with that when you wake up in the morning and, his wife and his child is not there anymore? That's not even about a religion thing. That's about a human. How would you respond? And then you layer on the fact that he's a pastor and he's a leader of in the church. And how does he explain to the people that he is still here? And a lot of things, there's a line in the promotional trailer when Kevin's character asks him, why are you still here? And he says, because I asked God to leave me behind. And people are like, well, no one gets to ask God to tell God. No, what he's saying, he's lying. That's his excuse. And Kevin's character says, that I'd believe it if it was true. But people don't seem to hear that part. They think, well, that's against scripture. He can't ask. No, he's deflecting the answer by saying, well, I still have things to do here, and that's why God left me behind. But that's not true. He's a man in spiritual crisis and has to arc his way through to come back, to find his way back to the story. And that's the piece I'm like, you know what? I can get behind that. I can relate to that. I can relate to a man's loss of his family, loss of his spiritual way, and the struggle to redefine who you are and where do I go forward from here. That's what attracted me. So,
Charles, there is a lot there in that, and I have to ask. No, seriously, it's how much of that were you able to get from the book, from the story, from your guidance, from the writing and the directors, to what you were able to glean? Actually, I may have stuttered by that. How much of that did you add to that understanding?
That's where I started from.
Oh.
I did not read the books, deliberately did not watch the previous movies. So I wanted to just bring a fresh interpretation and a take on it based on what was written on the page and based on the emotional connection I could have with the character. And, I always start with, what do we have in common? How would I feel in that situation? And then you start to layer and layer and layer. And that's what, like I said, that's where I started from. That's what attracted me to the script and the story. It was like, here's a man in crisis. And what a great thing to do is work your way through the crisis as an actor. That's meat and potatoes and flesh on the bones, so to speak, right? So
heck yeah. Yes. Yeah, there is a lot there. Michael, oh, hey, look at that. We have the same cups. I wonder why. Anyway. Sorry.
You have swag.
Oh, yeah, NASA. I was in Washington, D.C., and I'm never good at buying. Oh, you know what? I'm taking away from the story. I'll explain that later. So, Charles, being a man of faith myself, I'm listening to what you're telling me, and that's why I said, man, there's a lot there. That's why I wanted to know where you picked it up from. So, have you seen some of the movies now that came before, or not yet? Okay,
not yet.
Yeah, well, there's possibly a second one coming, right?
Yeah. I what I found really interesting, Roger, is that when I started putting this stuff out on my social media that I was in the movie and stuff, how many people that I knew or were connected to and via social media and stuff would said, "Oh my God, you're in this movie. I've read all the books. They were my favorite books." Even my own sister pinged me and said, "My husband and I have read all of the books, and oh, I can't believe." And I said, "Well, I play Pastor Barnes." And she's like, "Oh my God, you play Pastor Barnes? He's like a central character." Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, "Oh, so this has got some depth and some legs to it." Right?
Yeah.
So then I started to do some research to go, okay, look up Left Behind, and there's like a Facebook group, and I went on there and kind of trolled through some of their quote. I was like, oh, okay. And they are fanatical about the books and about making sure that the movies are true to the books, which I think is fantastic, because the producer and the writer are very much fanatical and true to the books. And one of the things that one of the difficult parts of playing this role for me, he's a pastor and he quotes scripture. You cannot misquote and misconstrue the words. I had to be verbatim as it was written.
Yeah.
I'm an actor, I'm a comedian, and I'm really good at ad-libbing sometimes, but that was not allowed. You had to get it word for word. So
okay, based on what you just said, I have to believe you did try an ad-lib. And I guess it maybe didn't go so well.
It's that, like if you don't get 100% of the word in, like you or right, sometimes they'll let that go. Also, sometimes I've been in shows where they like what I've added in the mix, and they leave it or they encourage it, right? But I'm also a writer, and I have to respect the writers. Writing is an art upon itself, and we're very careful in the words that we choose to put down on paper to convey a message. So I try to be respectful of that. But there are some times where you will you'll rephrase it so it comes out of your mouth naturally to you. That wasn't even allowed in this one.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. All right. Fair enough. Now, Charles, on a way out there concept, oftentimes the fans, when they read the books or know the source material, they're always unhappy with what is done in Hollywood, because Hollywood sees it, and this is not everyone, and please jump and correct me. Hollywood writers, or the ones behind the project, are like, okay, well, you've read the books. What is the point of doing the book if you've already read it? So they try to, which I find very annoying, we're going to turn it on its ear or do something like that. And what has been the response from the audience about that, as to how well this version kept with the series or the source material?
That has been, from what I have read, I stopped going on those sites and reading.
Right.
It's a bit overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
But what I've seen is this: for the most part, they are happy. For the most part, they like the updated version of it. They like the modern day references for the most part. But here's the thing: I'm a writer, I'm an actor, I'm a voracious reader. The books are always going to be better than the movie, with rare exceptions. And the reason is simple. When you are reading, your brain creates the character. You have in your mind, you create what that character looks like, talks like, walks like, sounds like, all those wonderful things. And then you go to the movie and you go, oh, well, that's not what I had in mind. Right? Because when you're reading, you're creating a movie in your own mind, in your own image. Every once in a while, you'll go to a movie that's based on a book, and you go, oh man, they did such a great job of casting. That's exactly who I imagined.
Mm-hmm.
But you're never going to get that 100% for everybody. There's going to be somebody in the room going, no, oh, the person I had in my head when I read it was older, or sounded like this or sounded like that, and they got it wrong. Well, you're never going to be able to please everybody. Even as a writer, when I have written something and then invited actors to do a read through, and the actors I brought in, they start reading, and I'm like, you're not saying it the way it sounded in my head when I wrote it.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's better, But sometimes you're like, that's not even remotely close to what I was envisioning. So you can't please everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is wonderful hearing, or I'm sorry, not hearing, but reading some of those responses that it was close.
Yeah, or people were over the moon ecstatic, and some people cried when we came out from. Like I said, my wife had organized a viewing party. We came out, and there were people in the audience came up to me, because it's funny when they kind of figured out, oh, that guy's standing up, right? And they come up and they want to talk to you and stuff, and they're, oh, I cried, and I can't wait to bring my, I got to go and bring all my friends to see this. And that's the kind of feedback I got outside the theater on that day. And I was just like, oh, well, it's always good when something resonates with people. That's fantastic. Yeah. Right. And to get that kind of immediate feedback, because you don't usually get that when you do film and television, because you watch it from home or you watch it in the theater, in a movie theater, but you don't get to actually interact with people who had just seen it, which is why I do comedy in theater, because you get the immediate feedback. But to have on that day, to have that people come up to me and and it's like, yeah, this resonated with me, or this made me cry, and I can't wait for everybody to see it. And then you see the stuff online, you're like, okay, so this landed where it was supposed to land. Not everybody loved it. Let's just There's always going to be people out there who are going to say, they didn't capture it exactly as they should. We can't please everybody.
No, you cannot.
We tried to capture it. We tried to be respectful. The writers were respectful of the books. We tried to keep the structure in the story, and then they updated it a little bit and made some modern day reference with that, or they made references that you kind of go, hey, that's very similar to what's happening in the world today. Cryptocurrency, a one world currency, all of that stuff was in there, right? But people are going to interpret it how they want to, and that's good. To me, the mark of a good film for myself is when I come out of the theater and I want to go grab a cup of coffee and sit down with the people I went to see it with and have an in-depth deconstruction conversation. What did you think? How did it make you feel? All those things. If you walk out of a performance and that's what you feel like, if it made you think, I consider that a win.
Charles, a lot that you just said, I've gone to theaters with friends to see movies, and that's what you want to do, is after the movie you want to talk about it. Yeah. And it is so awesome when you can do it. Or it's the exact opposite, when you watch the movie, you get up and, all right, see ya. I had that one, and my daughters loved it, but the two friends that I went with, it was two coworkers, and I took my daughters, and we walked out of Indiana Jones, and it was the fourth movie, the one with the transdimensional aliens. We were just like, okay, that was it. We walked out. I mean, we enjoyed the movie, but it just wasn't there. And I'm not trying to slam Harrison Ford. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of that, but I hear you. I did that with Lord of the Rings, did that with Star Wars, did that with lots of movies. And the other Indiana Jones movies I've done that with.
Yeah. And for me, especially because, I work in this industry. So if I can get lost in a story when I sit in the theater, or I don't find myself going, okay, I'm not really paying attention to the story as much anymore. I'm looking at the technical and I'm watching how they set it up. I've dropped out, I call it. If a film doesn't suck me in, where I'm like, I'm so engrossed in it that I forgot that those are actors, and some of them I might have worked with before. Those are actors and they're telling a story. But if I can tune out and go, oh yeah, okay, I can see how they set up that shot, or sometimes I'll say to my wife, you can tell that they didn't prep the extras in the back because their responses don't line up with what's happening in the forefront of the scene. I've tuned out. Right? So
yes. Yeah. Wow, I hear you. And again, I'm sorry, Michael, I'm monopolizing. Michael, please jump in on some questions you may have, because I'm just thrilled. Charles, look, we've been privileged over the years to speak to many souls, both in cinema, in front camera, behind the camera, supporting everything. We've been fortunate here, and there's depth to this conversation, and I'm thrilled. It's not that the others are not. It's just I'm thrilled because there's something else this will be my last one for a moment, Michael. Then you jump in. When you were talking a few, maybe 4 to 5 minutes ago, about getting the audience to react and exchanging ideas and hearing them, it's so refreshing because, and again, if I say something wrong, you'll correct me. Hollywood is putting a product out there for us to watch. And I'm generalizing. Oftentimes, Hollywood itself doesn't understand why there's a fan base and they don't get it. And yet there are those that are like, well, I'm involved. I want to do this because it has meaning to me. And then you get the fans that are really in on it. And then Hollywood's like, well, yeah, okay, that's a fanatical base that we don't want to deal with. Do you kind of know what I'm trying to say there?
I do.
It's jumbled, and I'm sorry. And
no. I think I understand what you're saying, and it's here's a question that I always ponder, as a performer, all right, or as I like to say, as a storyteller, whatever format that we choose it in. Who are we if not the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves? That is our purpose. That is my purpose as a performer, right? It's to bring stories to life, to resonate with people, that enlighten people, that open your eyes, and sometimes just simple entertainment, right? But if that's why we, since we gathered around the campfire, that is how we have expressed ourselves, right? Before we could write, we were an oral culture. We told stories. Now we just tell them in a different format. But that is what we are. Imagine our lives without it. Without stories. It reflects who we are as a people. It reflects who we are as a culture. I cannot imagine life without it. I feel privileged that I get to be part of that medium that tells the stories, that reflects who we are as a people, and people will look back on years from now. Right? And the story, there's only really 7 stories in the world. Different variations of the same, right? But it's the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves that reflect and symbolizes who we are, and to be part of that in whatever format is a privilege. That's how I approach it.
Thank you, Charles, and I appreciate that because I've commented before the 7 stories, the 7 types of stories, and they were told by the Greeks.
Yeah.
So it's
every culture has stories.
Yes. Michael, please jump in.
Well, I wanted to ask. You have mentioned that you were a stand-up comedian. When did you start doing that, or has that been recent?
No, I've been doing that for 25 odd years. Wow. Quite some time. And again, it's an outlet for my creativity. I need outlets. And again, I'm a storyteller. I'm not a comedian as much as I'm a storyteller. And when I get on stage, it's much like me having a conversation with the two of you, except there'll be, 50, 20, 100, 200, 3,000 of you. But it's the same energy for me. And it's always about, I like to educate while I entertain. I tell stories about my life and stories about my children and they're just, to me, and then people, what the best part of it again for me is when people come up to me after I've done, a comedy session, and they're like, oh my God, I was crying and I was laughing, and that story you tell, I remember, when I was a teenager, I went through that, and that is, again, like I said, that's why we do what we do. Right? Connect. It's about the human connection for me. It's always about that for me.
If you can make someone laugh, no matter what, it's the best. Michael, go ahead. Sorry.
Which do you prefer, or you really don't care? Do you prefer comedy, doing the stand-up? Do you prefer the acting, or is it just all getting the outlet for you? Different ways.
It's all about getting the outlet for me. It's all about the opportunity to tell a story. It's all about the opportunity to connect with fellow humans on this wonderful little planet that we're revolving around, and to be able to say, hey, have you thought about it this way? Have you looked at it this way, right? Or, engage. That's what's the fun part of it, is to engage, even like doing a conversation with you guys. We're just getting to know each other as people and forming a connection. That should be the purpose of life. Right.
And snow is not the connection, even though.
And we circle back to the beginning.
I was gonna go. I was gonna be stupid and say right, like when we're talking about the weather.
But hey, I live in a place where it gets down to -40. If you are going to be, housebound, who would you want to be housebound with? Someone who can tell a good story, or point you in the direction of a good book, or point you in the direction of a good, you know what I mean? Like entertainment and connection. That's who we are.
And that's what a lot of people did, other performers, because they felt like, they didn't have an outlet, and they got on and did podcasts and did singing and entertaining, and
I did online comedy shows, which is weird. However,
right, like that.
It's weird only because it's much like this, and you don't see the audience, right? You can see and you don't get the feedback. So it's so weird when you're used to doing it in a comedy club, and you get the immediate applause and the laugh and the applause break and what have you. That doesn't happen when you're doing it online. No. But what COVID did, because you're doing it online, it's going out to the whole world. When you're doing a comedy show, it's just the audience in the room, right? But when you took it online, there were people from all over the world now that are now exposed to you as a comic. So that was an upside to it. The downside was the immediacy, the feedback, the connection wasn't really there. So
I have to tell you that I had a mean streak earlier in this interview, and I'm glad Michael did it before I did when he came back to the weather. And I was laughing. I'm like, oh my God, going back to the weather. Charles, I was going to be a jerk when you said, people ask me what brought me to this role, and you gave the answer. And I was going to like dismissively say, wow, that's good stuff. So what brought you to this role? I was going to be a jerk. I'm like, no. He's the comedian. I'm not going to do it. But I want to come clean. I was debating, and I'm like, no. His answer was way too good, and it would have been lost. So I do have a mean streak, but I have to tell you, Charles, I was going to do it.
Well, what brought me to the role? Well, the agent called and said, I got an audition for you.
There it is.
Because let's face it. Okay, look, if you are a performer, I put everything I do under an umbrella. I'm a performer, right? When they say that's a wrap on Charles, I'm unemployed again, right? And auditioning is what actors do. So in between gigs, you find other outlets for your creativity to keep your skills sharp and hone your skills, and you prep, and you're always training for the next opportunity. And sometimes you're fortunate enough that someone will call you up and say, hey, I'm doing this film and I'd love for you to be part of it. And and this has happened to me a couple of times where I say, great, which character do you want me to put the audition on tape for? And they're like, no. We just want you to be this character. We think you and it's like, wow, I don't have to audition for it. You dream about getting there, right? But at the end of the day, let's be real. Auditioning is what we do. When we get the part, auditioning is what we get paid for. When we get the part, that's just gravy. That's the fun. That's date camp for adults. Being part of a creative environment and a network and a community of creative and like-minded creative individuals. I can't put words on that. That's just such a joy.
I'm trying to think of a quote of an actor that we interviewed, and he's been on our program twice when we were doing the radio. I'm going to see if I can find it, but he said something to the effect of, and I'm going to have his. I'm so embarrassed that I don't have his name right now. But I'm sure you. Okay, did you see the movie Contact with Jodie Foster? Okay, the gentleman that was in charge of mission control that's talking to the Jodie character, and also he was the assistant to Morgan Freeman in the movie Deep Impact, and he had a starring role in Star Trek Enterprise. And I'm trying to think of his name right now. I know you've seen him, and it's probably not enough to go by, but okay, he commented on his Facebook page within the last 2 years because there was a movie that was out, and it was a big deal, and a lot of people were unhappy or whatever. And he said, look, being in a production, whatever it is, from a play to in school to the YMCA or whatever, a church, a studio, for a movie to come to fruition. Says, look, it's not one person. It's an entire troop, both figuratively and literally. He says, and everyone gets to be involved, and everyone has a say physically by being involved and writing, directing, acting. And you're never, ever going to get everyone to agree or everyone to produce. So seeing something come to fruition, he referred to it, and this is where I'm paraphrasing, it's a minor miracle. Because we're human beings.
It's exactly right. And if so I always, if you go to watch one of these big blockbuster films, and like when you watch a Marvel movie, and everybody waits now because they've got us trained like rats in a maze. We're waiting for that piece of cheese at the end of the credits. What always amazes me while I'm sitting there waiting for the cookie is the number of people as those credits are going up that's involved to bring this story to life. You forget it's not just the people you see in front of the cameras. That's just such a small portion of it. It's all of the people behind it. So for me, it's like when I show up on the set, I'm excited to be there, but I'm only there to do one little thing. And then there's the makeup people and the lighting people and the grips and even the guys who drive the trucks, or the guys who come and pick you up from the hotel and bring you to the set. The crap. All of these people all are invested in one thing: bringing this story to life. It's like he said, it's a minor miracle. And if you think about the run up, if I've been involved in being on the producing side of things, the run up, the getting the script written, to casting, to finding the funding and the locations, and all of those things are involved, right? There's so much going on. It's not just the actors. We're just one minor piece of the puzzle.
Yes, the gentleman's name, Tucker Smallwood.
Yes.
Yeah, you know who it is.
Yes, I know. You know what? I want to grow up and be Tucker Smallwood.
Oh.
I jokingly say all the time, I want to be one of those actors. I'm a journeyman actor. That's how I've always described myself. I'm the guy that you go, I know his face, I don't remember his name, but I've seen him in this and I've seen him in that. That's who I want to be. I have no aspirations to be beyond that.
Oh. Well, that would be cool. There are journeyman actors that have incredible careers that they're in everything.
Yes,
and you always see them. Sometimes they disappear in the background, but they're there. Yes.
They're there. They're working. They're working actors, and they're consistently working. Or as like Peter Coyote once said, and I never forgot this. He said he considers himself a journeyman actor too. I think I might have stolen the phrase from him, but he said,
that's okay.
I want to be able to go out in the world and do my thing. Right? He says, a Brad Smith or these movie stars, they want to go out for dinner with their family. They got to, they got to, you reserve the whole restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to be able to go sit in a restaurant. And yes, if people recognize you, great. But I want to be able to still have a life and be able, you don't want to lose that connection to people and be so far removed. And I thought, you know what? That resonates with me because that's what I want. I just want to be an actor who works consistently and tell his stories. And the rest of it is superfluous to me. So.
Wow. I hear you. I get that. That's really exciting stuff. And I appreciate you make it so simple for us. And we're fans, Charles. And I know it doesn't show as much, but Michael and I have been doing this for a long time, and we still get nervous, believe it or not, speaking to anyone such as yourself, because we see you on the big screen. It is hero worship. And and we will stutter. I think I've already done it a few times because we will. And just knowing that you're spending the time with us and we're able to get it out to everyone who watches our channel, it's exciting stuff. I mean, I'm not going to say it's old hat. It's a little easier but to be able to speak to, I was going to say the Hollywood types, and that's rude because there's no such thing. No, that's me. Yeah, the storytellers. I may borrow that, Charles.
Oh, that's what we are. You know,
I'm not asking for permission. I think
no, you
I'm
go.
gonna
You
do it.
feel free. Feel free. Just spell my name right when you give me credit. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah. Oh, we will.
I'm just kidding,
No, we
Roger.
will.
No, here's the thing. You know what? It is a privilege to get to do what I do. I'm humbled by it on a daily basis, and you know, I call it my so-called charmed life. You know, that I get to do this, and I get to tell stories, and I get to connect with people, and I'll keep doing it as long as they'll have me. As long as they continue to invite me, I will keep doing it.
Well, based on your performances as of late, it looks good. Not
Thank
that
you.
I'm anyone to say, but knowing that there's going to be a second movie, that is cool.
I hope so. Fingers crossed. That, you know, like they told me, but. You know.
Oh, and right, how many times have you heard it's being written and then
nothing happens?
It's
the world.
Well, nothing happens until we see.
Right, but it's not the writers or the directors or the actors. It's circumstances. It's the studios, the backers. Oh my goodness, Tucker Smallwood is right. For something to actually be made is a minor miracle. Forget about whether it matches the book, your hopes, whatever.
When you think of the obstacles.
Yes.
Obstacles that it must go through in order to come to fruition and be given birth and legs and walk. And, you know, it's astounding. So when you finally get, hey, we're actually going to roll, we're going to camera, that's, you know, it doesn't mean anything until it actually happens, until somebody says action, right? And then when they say it's a wrap, I go, oh, guess what? Unemployed again.
I get that. In municipal service, in government, in county, we have a line that's similar about aspirations. It ain't real till you see it in writing.
Yeah, it ain't real.
Yeah, so for you, it's action.
Yeah, until you know, up until I step foot on set in front of the camera and the director says action, it is not real.
Wow. Yeah, I get that.
Because things could happen, things could change. I've actually been involved in a production where early in my career where they hired one actor and we filmed for a week and a half, and then that actor wasn't testing well with audiences for what have you, so they got rid of him, brought in a new actor. We went back to square one and started filming all over again. It's the nature of the beast. It's what we do. And so many pieces are outside of your control that all you can do is just show up and do your best work and give 100% of your effort to your piece of the puzzle. That's it.
So you are an actor, you're a comedian, but I believe you're also a motivational speaker.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Enlighten us, please.
Well, someone told me that I could do it. I have and again, to me, it's about performance. It's about, there's so many things that could happen in your life that you feel like you have no control over, but we do. And so when I do talks, I talk about resiliency and adaptability, perseverance. My line of work is inundated with rejection. Inundated, like on a daily basis, you get turned down for a multitude of reasons, 99% of which are outside of your control. You have nothing to do with it, nothing to say. You know, I've lost roles for reasons that you just go, huh? You know, I'll share one with you. I won't give you specifics because I don't want to call anybody out. But I auditioned for a role, and I really wanted it, and I didn't get it. And then years later, I happened to work with that same producer, and that producer apologized to me and said, I really wanted you. You were the best for the role, but I was going through a divorce at the time, and you looked too much like my now ex. And I just couldn't imagine having to see your face daily while we were filming, and apologize. So again, it had nothing to do with my ability. It had everything to do with something outside of my control.
How? Wow. Okay. No, I get
So-
that, and I can see that. Oh,
So when
What-
I talk about, some of the things I talk about is that we all prepare in life for when we don't get what we want. Very few of us prepare for when we do get what we want. We all start writing our moral victory story. Well, it was a good experience, and if it doesn't happen, I'll do this, and throw that out. Start preparing for when you do. So it's not a shock to you because we don't. It's like people who win the lottery and lose it all in a year or two because they were not mentally prepared
yeah.
when so you have to start to mentally prepare. So those are the kinds of things that I talk about on the motivational side of things, right? It's like, being resilient, being ready, being prepped, and living your life as if you've already won, so that you're mentally ready for, and also because the industry I'm in it's up, it's down, it's fickle. It's how do you stay positive in a world that's ever changing.
Yeah, and in the high demand industry that you're in,
Mhm.
yes, and it's changing every day. Look, as a municipal employee, I don't deal with any of that. The only thing that I could equate is my love of baseball.
Mhm.
I love theater. I love opening day to go see in both in baseball and a movie. Are you kidding
Mhm.
me? If I'm going opening day.
Yeah.
It is the best. I think you touched on it a bit when you mentioned the feedback that the
Mhm.
moviegoers give you. You know, Charles, it's especially if I'm a fan of the book, the product, or whatever. There is nothing like opening day in a movie
Mhm.
because you have the like-minded people, and it's so electric. I can't quantify it, but it is absolutely awesome when you can have that conversation with someone or spend time with someone.
Yeah.
What you do is really exciting to be a part of it. I can only imagine.
Yeah. And the thing for me right now, the best part of it for me right now is one of the things that I used to do before and I've started doing again is I've been invited to speak to kids at schools.
Oh yeah.
That is so heart filling is what I call it, soul filling, to show up and engage with kids and the questions that they ask, and they're surprised that you are who you are. That one's a little weird for me, right? But for me, I'll show up and do that anytime, anywhere, because, to have a conversation with kids and they're so curious as to how did you get started? Who have you worked with? What do I do if I want to get started? What is it? I love having that engagement, those conversations with them. And so whenever a school invites me to come and talk, I'm happy to show up and, and do it. So.
That is cool. Well, we're not a school, but you accepted our invite, and I'm eternally grateful. We are old souls here, but I'm learning a great deal. Seriously.
No worries, fellas. No worries.
Hey.
No, this is great. You know what? It's a pleasure to come and or as I say to my wife, people actually want to hear what I have to say. That's just a little weird, but because she's married to me, so she just kind of rolls her eyes.
That's funny. Well, hopefully we will be able to speak to you again on this. Now, Charles, what was I'm going to get into the weeds a little bit, and I'm going to get a little juvenile. Not the questions I asked you earlier; those will be a little bit later. But okay, you've been in the business for a while. You're a motivational speaker. You're a comedian. But take us to some of the moments in this movie magic universe that you live in. Where's the moment that you realized, or the moment that you look back on and say, wow, this is like, whether it was a moment in a movie, something you saw on screen, but the moment that you like stopped, looked around and said, wow, this is, either I've arrived, or those awesome moments where even you say, hi, it's a pleasure to meet you. It's something like that.
I get asked that similar questions all the time, and it's a good
I'm
question.
sorry.
It's a good question, because here's the thing. I've always been enamored with movies. Like from the very first time I, seen it on TV, my favorite thing to do is go to a movie. I'll watch movies day in, day out. And the fact that, when it becomes real to you and you go, when you meet someone that you've seen on screen and you realize that you're working with that person, you're one of them. That wow. And I met some really, really cool people who've embodied to me what I call the humility that is required to do what it is that we do. In that they recognize that everybody from the quote unquote star of the film to the people who were doing the background, everybody on there plays an integral part and is just equally as important. And I've worked with some actors who embody that spiritual that person, and you just go, that's who I want to be like. And I'm so glad that I get to work with somebody like that. And I'm going to call out one person just because this person embodied this for me. It blew me away. It was early in my career. I didn't even have a big role in the movie, but we were doing a script read, and Linda Hamilton, she's the star. We know who she is, but she comes in the room. We're all sitting around the table, and she walks around and introduced herself to everybody sitting around the table, and said, thank you for coming out and being part of this production. Really appreciate you giving us the time. And I was just like, no ego, just, hey, we are all here to accomplish one thing. Our common end in mind is to put out a good product, put out a good story that hopefully people will like. And that's kind of what she said. And I was like, and I was early in my career, and I'm like, two things jumped in my mind. You're Linda Hamilton. I've seen you in the right? Didn't fanboy, but the humility that she brought, I said, I want to be like that, no matter where I am in my career, no matter what level I'm in my career. And she went around, on shooting day, right? But this was the script read, all the cast. But on the first day that we're filming, she went around, introduced herself to all the people on the crew, and I watched her introduce herself to the people who were being the extras in the background. And I was like, that's what it's supposed to be like, recognizing that we are just here all playing an important part in getting this story done. That's who I want to be like. So
I want to, there's a bit of symmetry in what we're doing right here, right now. When you mentioned the 7 stories, I've been privileged to have conversations with Charles and with many people who have been performers. And we've talked about story structures, the basic storylines. And I commented that of the little I know, since the 7 stories have been told, we also know the characters, the type of character, the archetype characters that are there. I had commented to someone, because I read it somewhere, I wasn't smart enough, that one of the newest characters to arrive to the storytelling was the savior of the chosen one. It didn't exist in storytelling before. And of course, the savior of the chosen one was Linda Hamilton in the Terminator movies.
Yes.
Interesting that you would say that. Wow. And I've commented that, you could say there are a few other ones similar, but
similar ones.
Yeah, but the real character, Sarah Connor, was brand new to the whole storytelling bit.
Yep. And what a great, again, one of those stories that makes you get out, you come out and you want to talk about it, the possibilities, and, is it real? Is it, could it happen? All of those. And how did they do that?
Yeah.
And we right now, like I say, nerd, grew up reading comic books and all that. What an amazing time to be alive in the art of storytelling, because the stories are already there, but we didn't have the technology and the skill set to bring them to life. And I love a big blockbuster because they're great stories, but at the end of the day, throw it all away if I can deconstruct it and just, what's the story? What's the human connection piece? It doesn't matter what the media is and the medium is. Where's the humanity in the story? I'm always looking for that piece of it. And then I recognize the 7 stories. And you go, I've seen this before, but I like their interpretation of it. I like their different take on it. Right.
Their take. Right. There is a lot here, and I'm sorry, I'm being pedantic by saying it over and over, and I appreciate this, Charles. This is a lesson for us as well, and being able to have this conversation. you are visiting with the school kids right now because of the type of questions we have and our expertise. So you're dumbing it down for us, and but it's as I love telling my clients when they're here visiting with me, I speak English. What do you mean? Has nothing to do with me being Latin. It's that I want to make it simple, and it comes across. What are some of the movies that blew you away that had the simplest stories? And I want to steal from James Cameron. James Cameron tells love stories, and people are shocked when you look at Aliens. It's a love story. Mama and daughter. Yeah, right. You knew it. People miss that. Aliens is a mama-daughter story. It's crazy.
Yep. Well, no, I always say, I'll jokingly, my wife and I'll be watching a movie or watching a TV show, and I'll say, "Oh, there it is. It's always about a girl, or it's about a boy, or it's about a child, or." You get to the kernel of it, the nugget, that everything else is built around it, right? And so I could talk about stories forever, right? Well, because I like to go, okay, what's the kernel? What's the real arc here? What are they really telling me about, right? The stories are always very similar. It's about love. Love underlines. Love is always the motivational force that drives everything. It's what, why do they do what they do? There's also the savior story, the story that, where it's the orphan child who doesn't know his past and doesn't know he's the gifted one or he's special, or right. I've seen that story how many times?
Just a bit.
Right? Yeah, right. One of my favorite movies, that is gonna, I've probably seen the first Matrix movie about 30 times. The story of it, the philosophy behind it. There is Buddhism, there is Taoism. There's so much packed into that film, and then the tech of it and the cinematography of it and all that. And it's just like, and that was a pivotal moment in film, in the sense that after that, everybody could run up a wall and do a backflip. Because, we love to copy. Right? So, that I love any story that really is about the human condition, or as my wife would say, stop picking movies that make me cry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hear you. I get that, and that is so cool. What are some of the moments? Or let me ask, what are some of your favorite movies? I know this is general, and I know you've been asked this already, but what are some of the movies that maybe are your favorites, or actually caught you off guard and say, "Hey, this was good," other than the movie we were talking about earlier today?
No, movies that made me happy, made me go, I'm so glad I get to be part of this. And it's not movies that I'm in, it's like the older films. I love foreign films. There's a foreign film that I don't know, I've seen so many times, like Cinema Paradiso. I liked. Oh God, Matt Malena. It's such a beautiful film about a woman in Second World War, and she's new to a village, and how she, the women hate her because she's so beautiful and all them. It's just so well done. Lilies of the Field. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. In the Heat of the Night. Sidney Poitier, man, that's this is a guy where you're like, that's what I want to be. Right.
Oh yeah, I would too. Yeah.
Anything that Denzel Washington's ever done, like his films are just, even Denzel in a where you go, oh, I don't know why he's playing this, and you kind of go, oh yeah, but look what he's doing with it. You know what I mean? That man, I could listen to him read, anything with Viola Davis as well.
Yes.
Phenomenal. Morgan Freeman, Shawshank Redemption. I've watched that movie I don't know how many times, and it still surprises me.
I've lost track too. I watched that movie.
Yeah, still surprises me. So yeah, I mean, I don't have like overarching, like, that's my all-time favorite movie. I love them all.
Okay.
I don't think I've seen a bad. I won't go down the name, but there is only one film I've ever walked out of the theater on, and I won't name it. But yeah, I was.
Fair enough. Shawshank Redemption, best line. There are so many in that movie. What does Morgan Freeman say when he's passed out the beers? After the deal was done, he says, "The colossal prick actually came across as magnanimous." That's the first time I heard the word magnanimous. And I looked at him, I'm like, I got it.
I got it.
Loved it.
No, that just
there's so many.
There's so many. So, and again, though, what does it come down to? It's not even about always the acting. Somebody had to write that.
Yeah.
That's the part I always come back to. Somebody sat down and put words on paper. Took that out of their imagination. The testimony to the magnificence of the human imagination. When you watch a film, that's what it is. It's like even like The Matrix or Terminator. That came out of somebody's head. Is what I'm always thinking. Somebody somewhere sat down with who had a gift of imagination and brought that to life. Put that down on paper. And then a bunch of other people came and latched onto that idea and helped them bring it to fruition. And then actors get to be a small part of that.
I love in that movie, Shawshank Redemption, because, it's based on a book, which is the name of I forget the name of the tree, which the tree, by the way, is in Ohio. And I think it actually fell down finally. It was hit by lightning or something, and they were trying to save it, and they couldn't save it. But that's the tree at the very end. But anyway, the character Red, he's Irish in the book. And they ask him, hey, so why red? And of course, it was an acknowledgement to the book. He's because I'm Irish. And it comes across as funny in the movie. But that was, it was telling the audience, we know, we get it, but that's...
You can't, therein lies the difference, right? When you write a book, you tell. When you do a movie, you show. And then that's where, so back to that where you talked earlier, where, people will sometimes be attached to the book or the play that it comes from, and then they go to see the movie and they're upset. It's because when you're reading the book, the author is telling you, so you know what they're thinking, the motivation behind it. You strip all of that out when you're doing the show version of it, right? But when you've read it, you've created the narrative in your head. You've created what the character looks like. You have their voice, their accent, all of that, because human imagination will do that. And then you go, oh, they didn't do it the way I thought, or that character, or they make the character different, or they make the character a different nationality, which upsets people. But you should be able to take those liberties and licenses.
I get you, and I have one moment on a personal level. The Jack Ryan movies, it was the third one, Clear and Present Danger with Harrison Ford. The character of Clark is, I forget the gentleman's name. He's a wonderful actor. And you've seen the movie, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Clark, the guy that is the special ops guy. Well, anyway, when he says in the movie, La cuenta por favor, I died in the theater because the Clark character speaks 6 languages flawlessly. And he says it's like, oh. So you commented about that earlier, and I was thinking about that. I think that was the only time that I was ever put off. Did I enjoy the movie? Yes. It ended differently from the way the book was, but I still enjoyed the movie. And but that one moment just got under my skin.
Well, and I understand
being a fan.
that. I understand that. I understand that very much because, Reacher films, and how annoyed people were that Tom Cruise was cast, because if you read the books, well, that's a big leap of faith. But he did a good job, but still a lot of people were like, no, you can't. And then they made the TV show on Prime, and they got it right, because they got the physicality of the character as described in the book is more in line with the actor who plays it on the Prime TV show than Tom Cruise in the movies of it, right? So
Yeah, I like that, and I appreciate that. It's good. I have one moment which is fleeting on another something like that, and I'll probably come back to it. But Michael, oh, I'm sorry, I was loved. I know I accidentally set you up on that one, Michael. But please,
You
yes,
did. It wasn't.
I'm
It
sorry.
wasn't on purpose.
The only reason why we both have these is I mentioned I visited with
You
Michael
went to visit him
in December. Yeah, and I'm bad, Charles, at buying people gifts. And I was over in Washington. He took me to the museum, which is it's the aerospace museum, but it's the new one that's south of the Capitol. That's, oh my God, it's immense. It is something that I recommend to everyone. Historically, I'm a armchair historian, also an intro, wannabe writer, comedian. So a lot of things you click, you told me, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to be that too. But anyway, went to the museum, and I was caught up in the emotion because I've read about it my entire life. The Enola Gay was there, the bomber that unfortunately fired off the first nuclear bomb in anger. Now, folks, I am not for or against. The historical connection. I had no idea it was there. I did get lost in the moment. He knew it. He says, you know what? I need to leave you alone for a little bit. I had no idea that plane was still there. And it is. It's like, oh my God, you can almost reach up to it. But anyway, it was there, and I bought the gifts. So I said, Michael, we do the program. So I'm sorry, I will go on and bore everyone. No.
Did they corral you as they do when you tend to go through those kinds of displays? You cannot exit without walking through the gift shop.
No, you can avoid it.
Yeah, you can. Let me tell you, the gift shop's real nice too. Yeah. It really is. That is a nice museum. It's brand new, well, relatively, and it has so many things. On a personal level, I was disappointed because I did not find the Dauntless dive bomber, which is one of my favorite planes of World War II. But now we're getting way into the weeds. Charles, what is on your phone when it comes to music? I told you I'd ask that.
Okay. What is on my phone when it comes to music? I have.
Yeah, I'm really getting personal now, and I violated the trust.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I have my workout playlist because yeah. So, and that's 80s, 90s, old school hip hop and R&B that gets you, music gets you pumping. Then I have I love classical music, so I have, I even have an opera playlist for when I'm cooking.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
I again, music, books, movies. These are the things that I think about. Is that if someone, again, came out of the human imagination, creativity, I didn't create it, I will listen to it. I don't always love everything, but I'm not a music snob per se. I'll listen to just about everything, right? So that's on my, I don't have anything specific on my playlist that I'm loving right this moment. I was listening to some old school R&B yesterday, Teddy Pendergrass, Al Green. So that's what's immediate in my mind to answer that question.
That's cool. I appreciate that. Michael, do you have anything? We are getting late in the program, so do you have any other questions right now?
I don't think so. Unless Charles had anything else he wanted to bring up.
No, this has been fun having a dialogue with you guys. I don't, this just me being me.
Charles, let me tell you, I thank you for accepting the format because I think we warned you with about 40 seconds before we went live. It's, oh, by the way, this is just going to be a conversation, sir. That's it. That's all we're going to do.
Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
And I'm glad that you were able to spend it with us. And Charles, we get it. You have given, almost if we consider the time you were on before, you've given us an hour and a half, and that is a great deal. You are humble beyond the pale. You're very giving to your fan base. We are your fan base.
I appreciate it.
I know that we're going to be talking about it as we move forward. And I'm going to be purchasing the DVD. Or no, I'm going to do the Blu-ray. So I don't know. I've been doing digital for a while now. I have. Whenever I purchased a Blu-ray or digital, Blu-ray or DVD, I guess I was ahead of the game. It had to say digital on it, otherwise I wouldn't buy it. And I have about 300 movies now, all digital.
Wow.
Yeah, only because I would purchase them. I'm cable guy for the movies. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's good. You got that reference. I appreciate
it.
That.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
But I'm not going to do any Lucy impressions because Max is bad. But all kidding aside, Charles, the movie that we were talking about earlier and you shared so much with us, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist. There is a lot to it. Probably when we lose Charles right now, because he has to get to his family life, we want to thank his wife. Could we have her first name?
Dallas.
Dallas, you gave him to us. No, you lent him to us for an hour and a half. It was very kind of you. And I want to thank you. And obviously your children as well. Charles, look, obviously we would love in the future, if at any time you have any other project that you would like to get word out on, we would love to be able to speak to you. And I promise I will be much more prepared next time. I will watch it in advance. And it's just this time of year is, no excuses, because you said you would be on and you were on. And that means a great deal to us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Oh, I thank you for the insight. I thank you for sharing your story with us. But methinks you still have some more story to share, and we would love to speak to you again in the future.
Anytime.
All
right, guys.
I look forward
Appreciate
to
it. Take care.
Thank you. And I'm going to put an image of the movie right now. Thank you, Charles.
Okay, take care.
All right.
Bye.
We're going to go and we're going to finish up, ladies and gentlemen. So it is absolutely cool. Michael, what did you think of the movie?
Oh, it was as I said, I wasn't expecting what I got. It was very interesting. It was very well done. When I went, the audience wasn't very big because it was like the second night it was out.
Actually, it was Friday. Wasn't it opening day?
No, they opened it in DC on Thursday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and I was going to go, and then something came up, and then I couldn't go. And so then I went Friday, and I said, I'm not going to be able to get in. And that's what, but I did get in, and I was very glad that, that I got in. But I mean, it wasn't what I expected.
We did have the preview on a moment ago, and I'm going to show the image right now, folks. This is the image that's available on Amazon right now. There are the characters. You recognize them all, man. You've seen them before, and it's absolutely awesome. Based on a true story that hasn't happened yet. That was a tagline. I didn't get a chance to mention that one. This one was directed by Kevin Sorbo, Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist, and Neil McDonough and Corbin Burnson. I recognize Corbin Burnson, but I didn't remember his name when I saw him in the promo right now. Yeah, I remember him. Really good stuff, folks. Check it out. It's going to be available on Amazon as well as other places. You can get it right now. The list price is $20.99. You can pre-order it right now at $12.99. So really good stuff. And yeah, looking forward to seeing if there's going to be a second one. So that'll be good. So, Michael, is there anything else that you would like to go over right now?
Well, the only other thing is we have a special program this Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
Yeah, which is not our normal time or anything at all. So if anybody can watch us live, that would be great. If not, watch it afterwards. We will have on Ryan Adams. He's a young actor. He's in the new sci-fi series, The Ark. He's one of the main characters, like maybe 5 or 6. He graciously said he would join us, but he is over in the UK, so that's the reason we have to do this special time of Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern
Your time.
12 p.m. Pacific time. So we hope to see you there.
Yeah.
Because it should be a lively conversation. And if you haven't seen the Ark, I believe it is streaming. If you have the Sci-Fi app, you can stream it there. They've had 4 episodes. By the time we have the show on Friday, there'll be another one that will drop. They'll have 5 episodes out of, I think it's 12 or 13 episodes, I believe.
Yeah, that's cool because it's almost like 10 episodes is like the series norm now.
Yeah.
I mean, of course it's not. There are still that 13, 14, 15, but 10, sometimes you're lucky if you get 10.
Yeah,
Jeez.
especially streaming, it seems like 10 is the norm.
It
sometimes
does,
less. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, folks, you can see it right there, ndbmedia.net. And it still shows Charles Andrew Payne today right there. But Ryan Adams is coming up. Saul Rubinek follows him 10 days after. And then we also have Rick Dugdale from Zero Contact. We call that flirtation scheduling because it's going to happen. It's just due to the schedules and stuff. It just hasn't happened yet. But
yeah, we've had scheduling problems with.
Actually, he was committed, but I was the one that couldn't make it.
Yeah,
right?
you couldn't make it. Yeah.
Oh, so he committed.
He committed. About it. Yeah, he committed.
And so that's why I like to make it up. I say it's flirtatious. It's like, no, I just wasn't able to make it there. Health reasons. I'm getting old, but this was good. It was. Sorry. I was looking up some of the words as we were having the conversation.
Oh, there
Folks,
you go.
All good stuff. Thank you. Of course, on Blog Talk Radio /NDB Media, through the website, you can get what we have going on. Fandom Access is on at 7 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesday. On Thursday, Travel Itch Radio is on at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And I will be covering for Dan Schlossberg on March 10th on Blog Talk Radio for Dan Schlossberg at 5 p.m. Pacific time. It will not be here. It'll be on blogtalkradio.com /NDB Media. You can find it through the NDB Media net page, and I will be covering for Dan. I will possibly be covering for Dan also on or about the 21st of July. I haven't been able to commit right now, but more than likely I'm going to be covering for Mr. Dan Schlossberg as well on Travel Edge Radio. And then, of course, you can find Sports Talk with the Guys at 6 a.m. Pacific time on this. Ever New is on every other Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. And that next episode will be on in 2 weeks because Chris was on just this past Saturday. And Trekking Across the Universe will be returning for specific programs. It looks like we're going to be talking Picard very, very soon. So we may be doing Trekking Across the Universe on a Monday night when we don't have guests. So we're booked for a while. We may do Trekking Across the Universe either before or after our guest, but it looks like we're in with Picard. So we'll be talking about that one soon enough. So, Michael, anything else, young man?
No, that's about it. That's what's going on in the world of us.
All right. I do have a little bit of good news on a personal note. For those of you that know and have been following me and my family, it looks like my significant other will be coming home soon. And when I mean soon, I mean within a week. And for everyone who has taken the time to reach out to me and to us, I thank you. It has meant a great deal to us. And it is important for her to be able to come home. She hasn't been home since December 4th. And it's been very difficult for her. And the thing is, she is going to be, it's just, they may have already removed the PIC line from her. It was supposed to be done earlier today. It wasn't. It's only a matter of time. And then 3 days after that. So it looks like possibly on Friday. So she'll be able to come home and be in her own room. And I want to thank everyone that has reached out, as I said earlier, has provided us with support, and still continue to do so. She's a good person, and she needs to come home. So I thank everyone that has stood with me and us, and I'm fortunate she gets to come home. She's in a very sad place right now. It is a rehabilitation center where old folks sometimes go there for temporary stays and permanent stays. And she's very young to be there, and she's coming home. And it's just sad. It is sad that some people will not leave that place. And, well, that's another thing for another day. I imagine they have stories to tell, and no one is listening. Who knows? Maybe we might make that our mission. Who will see? Because there are lots of stories to be told. Michael has them. I have them. My God, our guest, Charles Andrew Payne, has them. And I think there are still more stories to be told. It's who we are, and we're lucky to be here. Michael, you are the bomb. I want to thank you, and for everyone else, it's been great. Michael, take us away.
Yeah. See everyone Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific time for Ryan Adams. And if we don't see you then, we'll see you at one of our other shows. See y'all.